What's up, y'all? This is Iskosi, a fun day, kicking it for you and for yours. And we up here back at it again, doing these videos. That's what we do. And this one right here comes from the Los Angeles Times. Locked out of LA's white neighborhoods, they built a black suburb. Now, they're homeless. And this came out September 9th, 2019. You know what I'm saying? And in the caption right here, it shows a black couple, beautiful black couple, Michelle Vaughn, 24, and Edwin Williams, 31, live in an African-American homeless encampment under the Ronald Reagan Freeway in Pomona. Many of the residents were displaced from their homes their parents owned in the 1950s and 60s. So, wow. You know what I'm saying? And just think about it. Even a homeless shelter, you know what I'm saying, is just all African Americans. Think about that, what they call African Americans, As I said, this came out September 9th, 2019. Dwayne Fairfax grew up after World War II in Panama, one of the few Los Angeles suburbs that offered the American dream of home ownership to African Americans who have been locked out of other neighborhoods by racial covenants. His stepfather worked at Lockheed Martin to support the family of 15. His sister worked at the General Motor plant in Van Nuys. She brought one of the Joe Louis homes. No relation to the Rivera boxing icon, but his name still drew African Americans fleeing lynchings and Jim Crow laws in the South to the rows of boxy houses. But the 90s brought in deindustrialization, the crack cocaine epidemic, and mass incarceration. With the advent of fair housing laws, some black people moved to other San Fernando Valley communities and beyond. But many African American families in Pomona lost their houses as a result of those social forces. Now, Fairfax, 62, and 4 dozen others, mostly African American people, live a few miles away in a flotilla of tents under the Ronald Reagan Freeway. The giant encampment is a stark illustration of the racial disparity among homeless people that Los Angeles and cities across California are starting to recognize and address. In LA County, African Americans are 9% of the population, but 40% of its homeless population, and 2/3 of them live outside. Sidebar right here, this is the homeless shelter right here, the homeless encampment under the Ronald Reagan Freeway, where all the black people stay at, where our African Americans. Sad. The poverty rate among black Los Angeles does not fully account for the racial gap. That is not unique to LA, but particularly uncoverable in a liberal city with a painful racial history, including the police beatings of Rodney King and 2 riots. In December, the Los Angeles Homeless Authority released a study blaming the disparity on generational institutional and structural racism in the housing and criminal justice education and child welfare system. The story of the debacle of the black middle class has been taken out of conversation, and the onus is on the pathology of the individual, says Suzette Shaw, a Skid Row activist and a member of the advisory committee for the report. Workforce redlining, housing redlining has systematically displaced us. It will be hard to find a purer example of displacement than the Pacoima encampment. Some of its residents were laid off together by a Price Fisher faucet factory that no longer exists, said Chris Freeman, program officer at the LA Family Housing. Others grew up together. A few are blood relatives. Many have lived together in the streets for 3 to 5 years, Free said. Those same individuals live in these same homes that their parents brought in the 50s and 60s, said Crystal Jackson Bradley, a Pacoima native and creator for the documentary and an upcoming book about the community. It is madness. The disparity study lists 67 recommendations to address the issue, among them hiring formerly homeless African Americans for social services and affordable housing construction jobs, removing housing barriers for people with criminal records, extending the foster care support system to people up to age 24. See, that's another sidebar too about us not taking care of our kids and stuff like that. You know, not coming in, looking out for the babies. You know what I'm saying? It used to be the community, like if somebody died, their parents died or whatnot, the community would come in and, show some love. But Dennis was sold up in July and service camp residents with a notice to move or face arrest. There was no obvious solutions. Workers in hard hats pounded metal fence posts into the dirt, inches from the tents where people were sleeping. We have been here for 3 years and all of a sudden, it's madness. Patrice Hurt, 1953, the camp's unofficial den mother. Attorneys from the Neighborhood Legal Services intervened 4 days later, citing a recent court ruling that criminalized sleeping in public streets while shelter space is inadequate is unconstitutional. That ruling is under attack from several fronts, and the U.S. Supreme Court is weighing a L.A. law firm's request to hear the case. But Congress agreed to put the ouster on hold until a solution can be found for the residents. Many are in line for housing, but the process is happening at a glacier pace. Actually, they got a couch out there, in the bed and all type of stuff, That's how people in L.A. living like that. Free says she is working with the homeless service authorities and legal aid agency on a plan to relocate many of the residents together, perhaps to 2, 4, or 5 bedroom shared houses because they are such a tight-knit group. Jacqueline Wagner, a commissioner of authority and head of the committee that conducted the disparity study, suggested the city find public land for a haven where residents can wait until their housing comes through. If you fix this for black people, you fix it for everyone, she says. They're the biggest group. So she just confirmed right there that black people is the biggest group of homeless, as the stat said, 40% in Los Angeles County. That's how it's going out there in L.A. A spokesman for Los Angeles Mayor Eric Gotti said the city is not considering sanctioned campgrounds on public land. The mayor is focused right now on bringing everyone indoors into the shelter and permanent housing. We know our keys to solving this crisis, spokesman Alexander Kremesh said. The encampment has been a hotspot for complaints to the city, 150 in 2018 according to city records. City Councilman Monica Rodriguez, whose district includes Pomona, says city attorney Mike Fulford office obtained orders for 10 people involved in sex trafficking and drugs to stay away. In March, Samuel Crenshaw, a 60-year-old black man, died after stabbing among or near the tents. The LAPD Hope Team of the police and the city sanitation workers have repeatedly moved to residents. It was the team who told the first members of the camp to leave the cul-de-sac in Pomona. They settled along the Ronald Reagan Freeway underpass about 3 years ago, residents said. The whole team was trying to find the least populated area, Rodriguez said. Many encampments many of the in the encampments also said that the team threw away their belongings, including an urn that contained the ashes of the residents' twins, Jessica and son. The leader of the whole team did not return calls for comment. Rodriguez said she has brought an array of homeless services to her district, including bridge housing, a winter shelter, a homeless shelter service hub, and an only safe parking lot in the city for people to sleep in their RVs. I can't think of a box that haven't been checked yet, she said. We live here. Prefect is clearly aware of the historical forces that washed him under the bridge. His family fled Mississippi for Vermont, which then was largely dirt roads and open fields. Some of the first survivors ironically lived in tents and on the outset huts. His family helped form what became the center of African American life in the San Fernando Valley. It was thriving, especially for African Americans, Fairfax said. My sister bought a Camaro, everybody bought GM products. His stepfather, a tool and die man, lost the eye in an Indy action, but refused the settlement offer and followed Lockheed Martin to Lancaster. Fairfax said his sisters took a buyout from General Motors, but the money only lasted so long, and she soon had to find another job. Instead of finding yourself a home, now you have an apartment. Fairfax attended Pomona High School with mostly Latino and black students, but in the 1970s was transferred to West San Fernando Valley for high school as part of LA busing debacle. He remembers climbing off the bus and seeing racial slurs splash across the quad, where administrators must have noticed. It was the worst first day of high school ever. Fairfax played baseball in college, and one of his sisters got a PhD. When things got tough, Terex, he started selling illegal substances. I did what I had to do to survive, he said. I was the oldest of 13. I had to carry the load. I do not like where I'm at, but I'm surprised I'm not in a mental ward and that I'm still living. Pomona's African-American population dropped from 75 in the 1970s to 10% 20 years later as Mexican immigrants, later joined by Salvadorians and Guatemalans, arrived. Joe Louis Holmes and other tracts where black teachers, pastors, and business people once lived are now primarily occupied by the middle-class Latinos. So they came over, you know what I'm saying, they just took it over. You know what I'm saying? The camp residents may stay in 10. Then why they got their bill, that's crazy. So why the St. Louis homes and other tracts where black teachers, pastors, and business people stay are now primarily occupied by middle-class Latinos, and their offspring of them pastors and all that stuff, teachers and business people, is living in tents. Go figure that one. The residence camps may stay in tents, but they are very much part of still in the Pomona community. Sisters, friends, and pastors drop by regularly with food, water, dog food, eyeglasses, and McDonald's gift cards. For a while, several pregnant women lived in an encampment. They moved out just before they gave birth. The residents collected care for a litter of my puppies that campered underfoot, and the dog died there and is buried in the Freeman embankment under a grave marker. One woman, Sergeant Wilson, has come to the encampment by bus, train, and by bus again from a home in the desert town of Moaving to gather residents for a prayer circle. Those were my friends, and they still are my friends, Wilson said, 61. The unofficial den mother said a neighbor and her daughter brought a Christmas tree over the encampment over the holidays and decorated. And with the help of homeless service worker, Hart recently moved into her apartment in Sunnyland. But most of the day she's back at her friend's tent under the freeway, helping cook and maintain order. Caltrans metal fence posts still mark the encampment boundaries. We grew up together, Hart. Our parents passed and the houses got sold. Where the hell are we going to go? We live here. And there you have it. So, you know, our people in LA is really getting a bad bid right now, like Dr. Clark Anderson told us was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And like every other person, male and female, that's seen this stuff coming down, told us it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Barbara Sizemore said, black people just still ain't getting it. You got to, you know what I'm saying, you got to do for self as a collective, you know. You got these houses, you know what I'm saying, was living there, professionals living there. As it stated right here, you know, I'm going to say it one more time. Pomona African-American population dropped from 75% in the 1970s to 10% 20 years later as Mexican immigrants and later joined by Salvadorians, Guatemalans arrived. So they just pushed all out the neighborhood, and while they in this neighborhood, they building up their businesses. Believe you me, they not going to let they keeping their businesses, they keeping their stuff locked. They bouncing their money off of each other too. You know, like they supposed to do. I'm not knocking them for doing that. They're TCBing. Like Dr. Clark Anderson saying, and Dr. Amos Wilson especially said, they're TCBing. They are taking care of business. You know what I'm saying? And this would happen when, you know, when we got, like I said, a system that's against us, and we think that we can do better as individuals instead of bonding together to fight off this system that's doing it. And let's not forget either, like the article said, this is systematic. You know what I'm saying? It is systematic what's going on. This wasn't by happenstance. You know what I'm saying? But we should know by now that all this stuff is a gimme. You know what I'm saying? They're going to do all this stuff to stop us. You feel me? So we should know that by now. All this stuff should be a gimme. So we got to play and act accordingly. You know, the referee change, you know, you calling PFIs, you know what I'm saying? Pass interferences and stuff like that. We got to adjust to that and, you know, keep on marching. Hate to use a sports analogy. But a lot of this stuff should be just common sense. Anyway, this is Akoski of Fun Day. Show much love. Donate to the movement. Show much love. You know what I'm saying? And hit the like button. The channel keeps growing. Peace.